everyone, and welcome back to Rebook, the show where we talk about the men and the women who be slapping the meat in the middle of the squared circle and the stories they tell in the process, brother. Of course, I'm GB, you have Matt, and you have Jake. And on all the winking, okay. And today we are gonna yap about WWE Backlash, the pay-per-view that is a thing. So here's where we talked about it briefly on the AEW episode. You should go back and check it. It was more of a broader discussion about the vibes of wrestling right now. Obviously, a lot's going on outside that we don't really cover on this show since we primarily focus on the storylines. But even narratively, we've been talking a lot about how things just have felt a little odd since post WrestleMania. But for me, in a different way that wasn't quite evident out of 40, because I actually felt coming out of WrestleMania 40 was curious to see what would happen, whereas with coming out of 41 I'm not as interested. And for me, nothing illustrates that more than Backlash, which is the pay-per-view that is happening this Saturday. And today, guys, we're going to be breaking down the card. But before we start, Jake, are you sharing in a similar sentiment with me, or do you think I'm just a WWE hater?
I mean, both things can be true.
Hey, that's mean.
No,
That's mean.
no, I'm feeling the same way too. I think we're in the midst of a WrestleMania hangover. That's kind of what I think's going on.
Yeah,
you know, and yeah, we've got a pay-per-view because we're supposed to have a pay-per-view now. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, really,
Really.
that's kind of how it feels.
Yeah.
This feels like my season 3 episode 13 of
Walking Dead.
Bring it
Walking
back.
Dead.
Yeah.
Go watch the Wednesday show if you don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, for sure. You're so right on that. Well, Matt, what about for you? You feeling in a similar way as well from what we talked about?
Yeah. It's just it feels very much, and to be fair, to your point, I feel very similarly to how I felt last year.
Okay.
And if you go back and watch Rebooked, I'd be willing to bet your reaction is very much the same. A big event, we had a couple big things happen, but remember Backlash? A lot of it was like, I'm sure some of these matches will be good, but I don't feel like anybody's title's at risk. I feel like it's a little bit, it's people just establishing new title reigns. Nobody's going to lose. No big story beats are happening. It's just kind of, it's what I like to call a speed bump pay-per-view.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's just there. I mean, some of these matches I think are going to be pretty good, but there's nothing of incredible consequence in my mind.
Yeah.
And we'll break that down as we kind of go through the card.
Well, let's not waste any time and jump right into this one here, because like we said, it's going to be a little bit of a shorter episode, primarily because it's a small card and the matches have had fun builds, but there's some meat on some bones. We'll see. So let's go ahead and start things off with your rebook preview of Backlash 2025. So we'll start off with, you know what? We'll start with the men's Intercontinental Championship matchup, which is going to be our new Intercontinental Champion. Oh dear. Did not factor that one in at all. Dominik Mysterio going up against Penta. The image is horrifying. We're going to find a way to zoom in out of this one. That doesn't matter. Let's discuss. I'm expecting a good match. Don't think anything's going to come out of it, though. That's kind of right.
Yep. It's kind of, I mean,
that's pretty much what I'm expecting out of all these matches, I think. But
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
And as much as we talk about like wrestling's, it's not just about the result, it's the match. And that's true. And that is true. And but I don't know. I call it a gut feeling. I think I think it'll be good. I don't think it'll be mind blowing.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be solid. I don't see Dominik losing, especially they got so much buzz off of him winning.
Gonna be shenanigans.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I'm
the only thing I'm more curious to see is just, will there be Finn Balor involvement? Will the Judgment Day, is there going to be more kind of movement? Are they breaking up? Is there more tension going over there? Stuff like that. How is that progressing?
Yeah.
I don't see much between Penta and Dom as far as like continuing story. So yeah, the only thing I'm looking forward to out of this is if there's more Judgment Day shenanigans.
Yeah, that's kind of the same
French for shenanigan.
shenanigans.
I was wondering. I was gonna say.
Yeah, but that is also the same way I'm feeling about it. Going to be a great match. The story's been very flimsy coming into this, just because these are two guys that were in the Intercontinental matchup. There was like things happened, you know, and it's like, okay, cool. But in that regard, though, I think we're all here unified. Dominik Mysterio still retains, because there's just more to do.
Sure.
It's more interesting that he retains his title there. Of course, let us know what you think in the comments down below. We'd love to hear from you. But that takes us to another one of our mid-card men's titles matches, which is going to be another one that will probably be a banger, and that is going to be the United States Championship matchup between LA Knight, Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, and our US champ, Jacob Fatu. Now, I'm expecting this to be match of the night. Full stop. I think this is a contender to be pretty up there, because these guys are like dudes that could do a lot of ridiculous things despite their size. So I think that's going to be it's going to be a heavy hitting matchup.
Willing to go like pretty hard too.
Yes. I expect this to be very violent.
Yeah, I would expect so too. And I kind of feel like it's, you know, it's the same thing. I think Jacob Fatu wins. I think Priest and McIntyre are going to be too consumed with each other per usual. And you know, those ladies will go off and have their cat fight. And then it's going to be Fatu and LA Knight, and he just put down LA Knight. So it just feels like, you know, that it's going to be Fatu again. But yeah, I think that these two are going to, I think these four are going to smack the shit out of each other for sure.
Yeah.
I think it could be a lot of fun. And I think you're probably right that it seems like it's probably the best candidate.
The only wrinkle I see in this, Matt, is Solo Sikoa. And maybe because, you know, they've showed a willingness in the past to take a title off of someone and then put it back on them again. Like they did that with LA Knight, right? Like he lost it to Shinsuke. Right. That clearly wasn't working. They took it off. But obviously this isn't the case here. But I could see a world where LA Knight wins the US title because Solo screws up and something happens there. Like, is that, do you think that would be a good story beat or not worth to explore?
No, I don't. Not at this point.
Or not in that way, rather.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't say that. I say not at this point.
Okay.
I do think actually that's where they're going. My fantasy booking. Like in this match, potentially, when you take a look at that graphic, bring that graphic back up. There's part of me that almost not that graphic.
I'm sorry.
The match graphic.
Yeah, you weren't real clear about it.
To me, I'm almost like I'm looking at Jacob Fatu's next 3 to 4 months. I think you could. You started here. He beat LA Knight again, but you could go back to a single. I think he's going to face these guys in singles feuds after this potentially.
Yeah,
pick
them off one by one.
I think these are guys who all need something to do if they're not chasing the world title potentially. And so he's going to win a fatal 4-way, but that's chaos and everything. You beat me one-on-one. And hopefully the stories are a little different. And all along the way, because so far we've seen a little bit of that Solo Sikoa tension tease. Yeah. But like even this past week on SmackDown, they were good. Like at the end, after he beat up everybody and he kind of saved Solo Sikoa's butt. It was like, all right, I got you, like a little bit, but like I think that's going to chip away. He's going to keep trying to help Jacob. Sometimes it'll kind of almost backfire, but I think Jacob will hang on to it. And then I think maybe if he doesn't go on like a Gunther-like reign, which I think is totally fine, I could see something where like at the end of the summer, maybe SummerSlam, he's facing Priest or I think maybe someone like a Priest or McIntyre.
Yeah.
And Solo either inadvertently or purposely costs him that title, and Jacob and Solo go into a feud, and Jacob wrecks Solo.
Yeah.
Because
that whole interaction with Aldis was really good. That interaction with Nick Aldis when he was like, "You trying to screw over Jacob," or "No, you trying to ruin Jacob," or something like that, and he was like, "No, but you are." I was like, "Oh, Ooh, that was
So-
a little dark there. That was good.
I think we're clearly going there. I think it's going to be a slow burn, though.
Yeah, for sure. This next one has been for our Women's Intercontinental Championship, and this one is the most likely of the matchups to have a title change, I would reckon to say.
I would agree.
And it makes the most sense. But I will say that the brawl this week, that commentary, it wasn't good. They were saying like, oh, it's really apparent that Lyra Valkyria has come out of her shell lately. It's like, what kind of on the nose crap is that? Like, you say like,
Yeah, at least say pushed out of the nest or something with the whole bird thing going.
Yeah, at least make it a pun. No, but
Right.
honestly, it was just a little, it feels like it's so like they're just telling you like, oh, hey, we know that Lyra's kind of been like
little bit.
not the most engaging character, but here she is. And it's like, I don't know, you didn't.
She's fired up.
I want a
you know
little
what
bit
I mean?
more. I wanted more personal history, even if they made it up. Like I want them to give me just more of a reason. But it's going to be Becky Lynch. I don't see a world that she doesn't win it. But
there is a world. I'm
actually,
like,
there is a world that she does.
I think it's like
yeah.
80-20 though. 80%. You know what I mean? There's a smallish chance that like they're like, no, never mind. We're gonna stick with Lyra. But yeah, my money, the smart money, I think would be on Becky.
Yeah.
Do we think there will be some sort of involvement or at least appearance of Bailey?
Yeah,
Maybe?
I do think
Yeah.
something, whether it's during or especially because Bailey's a baby face, even though they're like, I think post a Becky win,
Mm-hmm.
whether in the ring or up the aisle, big brawl from them
Yeah.
to the back or whatever kind of thing, or she lays out Becky.
Yeah.
Could be a moment like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see something to that effect. It was bizarre how they removed Bailey from this story, so there needs to be something that kind of creates that. And then
And Becky, to be fair, has been mentioning Bailey.
she's been
so,
mentioning
like, so
all
they're
of the
clearly-
horsewomen lately.
Yeah, but specifically like Bailey. So like, especially in interviews and stuff. So they're clearly going to Bailey involvement. I mean, hell, that'd be a hell of a three-way.
That would be.
Especially
Yes,
if Bailey got involved and then like, God damn it, Jake. In the gutter, you juvenile.
Did he just say
child.
that's what she said?
No, because I said that would be a hell of a three-way. And so he's losing his mind because he's a little boy.
Sorry.
Go a triple threat match.
There was a delivery. I had to
It
go.
would be a hell of a triple threat wrestling contest. But yeah, like Bailey gets involved, she goes after Becky, but Lyra's like, "Wait, Bailey, I thought you were my friend. Like, why are you going after like my title?" Blah blah blah. A little bit of tension there. That could be a good menage a trois.
Yeah. Oh,
so-
come on. See,
See,
now
you're doing it. on purpose.
now you did that one.
Come on.
That shit was
That
on
would
purpose.
be a great sexual encounter.
Oh, no beating around the bush for that one, no pun intended. I think it'd be fun to see Bailey come back and get involved in some way. I don't know if she comes back, pissed off. I mean, because we know that Becky's the one that attacked
Yeah.
Bailey.
Yeah.
So there is going to be a payoff to that. I figure it has to be tomorrow night. I would think.
Yeah.
There's got to be some kind of something's got to come into play. I think.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool if just somehow, Becky wins, but then we hear Bailey's old music.
Oh, yeah.
That would be cool.
And I'm not saying
Hugger
comes
Bailey?
back. Maybe not necessarily like Hugger Bailey comes back, but like, something more of that vibe, something a little more fun, but also ass kickish you know, I'm excited, I'm happy, but I'm happy to kick your ass now too.
Sure.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
I don't know.
I would like to see Bailey come back with a somewhat adjusted presentation to her. I think that would be cool, especially, you know,
Because
going back
it's
to the
yeah.
to that, you know, like in a different way, not like,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
just the
A
hugger,
different
right?
perspective and older. Yeah, yeah. I think that could be really interesting. A
Yeah.
really interesting perspective because like and then she could still lean into the fact that like hey, I did that gimmick then because I was an underdog and son of a bitch, I still feel like an underdog.
Mm.
So I I mean cuz she's talked about that. She talked about that on some was Van Vliet on his podcast.
Chris Van Vliet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Chris Van Vliet. Um and you know, so I think that that could be really interesting to see her go back and explore that version of herself from a current perspective.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
I think that could be really
That
cool
would
and a
be.
lot of fun. And I think the fans would get behind it.
I agree. I agree.
I think the fans would really get behind that.
Especially with the recent like news of like Bailey saying like, "Hey, I just want to
Yes.
wrestle. I just want to do my stuff," you know. So like,
I want
I
to do
think
there's so many things I want to do. I want to have a romantic story. I think it's better to do it with that version of Bailey.
yeah, that also still has her like Macho Man esque, you know, gear that
Yes.
she can come out with.
And
Yeah,
she, to be fair, she's also been very public with like in interviews, but in like kind of kayfabe interviews. So I think it counts for character work of just like of all those horsewomen, of all that people I came up with, she goes, I've never felt like I was treated on that same level.
Mm.
And
I've
she
never
says she
been.
still feels that way that
That's
she's
what I'm
not on
saying.
that
Yeah,
level.
like I've
Yeah,
never been
yeah.
treated like that star. Like they've always been given that spotlight, that attention. Like Bailey's good. Bailey's always you can always count on her. She's a good soldier,
Mhm.
kind of thing. But
Mhm.
she's never been treated as the box office. She's never been treated for all the shit and work she's done.
Yeah,
So like that'll for sure play into I think any kind of rivalry here.
I think
Yeah.
that's
I
really
think it'd be
cool.
really good. There's so much history.
Yeah, I hope they explore it and they don't do cookie cutter. I think they should
Yeah.
allow her to cook because, you know, I was a little disappointed at WrestleMania 40 when, you know, her story was really good and this whole like Damage Control like kicked her out and she won the Rumble and then she, you know, had to make a decision, but then Damage Control was like, whoa, you know, like I thought it was great. I enjoyed it. It was just that it
There was
happened
just
to
no
be
plan for it after.
and
They just
there
fell flat
was
after.
and on top of that it was like you also had all of this attention to Cody, you had all of this attention to Damian Priest and Drew and the CM Punk cash-in, you know, like all that to something that has very interesting and potential long-term truly fascinating developments to Pat McAfee. That brings us to Pat McAfee versus Gunther, which is a match that will be happening at Backlash. I know why they're doing this. I just don't care. So that's kind of where I am right now.
So okay, why are they doing it?
Well, they're doing it because Gunther just needs to be away from things for right now, right? Clearly, it's very similar to what happened to Gunther at WrestleMania last year, except last year he went away and then he came back and then did the King of the Ring. And then, you know, that was kind of like the start of his, you know, rise
World
Championship run.
That was the started a whole that.
So
whole thing.
this is that, or not, maybe not that, but I think that this is going to pivot him into because you know WWE does these matches, right, because they're big draws, you know, like they did it with Bam Bam Bigelow and my God,
Lawrence Taylor.
Oh, yeah,
sorry,
LT.
right, like that feud, right, or when they, I wouldn't say Stephen Amell and Cody Stardust because that was like more of them. But, you know, they've done these celebrity matchups before, but especially ones that cross into the sports world and with Pat's show and all this other stuff. Like, it's very clearly meant to give Gunther a much bigger platform to share him with the audience. That's what I think. I think it's just like, you know, now we know that he is a guy who is a legit champion. He could like actually, you know, I think he could carry the brand as like a heel champion for a little while. This is just a way to kind of keep him away from things for the time being. Thing is, I just don't really care for Pat McAfee, so it just doesn't resonate with me at all. So that's kind of where I am. But Yeah.
I feel like that the whole purpose of this is this is a get right match for Gunther.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the moment for him to recalibrate, and I'm talking storyline wise. This is
Yeah.
yeah, because in sports you have get right games. You come off of a emotional loss. You're maybe coming in against a opponent that maybe is not of the same pedigree as you,
Mm-hmm.
just to put it politely. And then you use that opportunity to show and remind people who the hell you are. And I think that that's what the point of this is for Gunther. Is this is to come in and to kind of reset his character to a degree a little bit, because we've seen the very cocky, the very arrogant Gunther. But I miss the dude who would just
The killer.
was pissed off
Yeah,
and just
killer.
chop the shit out of people. And I think that's what we're going to get.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing was, Pat called him soft,
Yeah.
which is something I just would not say to Gunther's face.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that's him in real life, because
Yes.
yeah, anything but yeah.
Yeah. That has to awaken something in Gunther. And if Gunther doesn't come out of this match, A, as the victor, and B, as like a big victor, then this match has done more harm than good.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I don't think that Pat can't get some offense in or whatever. And I'm actually okay with it being Pat, because like you said, it's going to get more eyes on it. I'm sure he's talking about it all this week on ESPN. It's something that is going to be talked about there in mainstream sports media.
Yeah.
But Pat can do some stuff in the ring. Like he's workable in the ring and could do some
Had
things.
a good match with Adam Cole in NXT. I enjoyed it.
I loved that, and I loved the build up to that.
And he's a former pro athlete.
Exactly.
You can lean on all that for this story. So he can be
still relatively young,
can be
so
gritty.
like
yeah. But at the end of the day, he needs
Yeah.
to take one chop and regret his life.
Yeah.
That's
it.
What,
now, I was going to
what
say,
needs to happen.
that's what needs to happen. It needs to be the chop, right? Because you remember NXT UK when Volta showed up and he had his first couple matches and he fought Tyler Bate for the championship, and it was all about the chop. Everything was the chop. They were avoiding the chop, and the chop hasn't, his chest chop has not been like, it's been brutal. Everyone knows it's brutal, but it hasn't been the focal point. And this kind of makes me feel a little bit like the way when Brock Lesnar fought John Cena and he went to do those German suplexes over and over and over again, take a really simple move, make it incredibly devastating. And what better way to do that than Gunther's freaking meat mallets for hands that he can just chop the crap out of people with? And what better person to receive it and sell it as like the devastating life-ending thing that it should be than a guy who's like a commentator, like Pat McAfee. It is
Pat
smart.
McAfee's chest needs to look like this at the end of the night.
Yeah.
It needs to look this color at the end of the night.
My guy needs to look like he spent way too long in the sun in the Caribbean. You know what I mean? Like that's
right.
Like just full red all over the place. Yeah.
Yes.
I agree.
His chest needs to glow.
Yeah.
Like it's the 2K WWE
And
game.
I think people want it.
Just his torso is. I think they do too.
I think the audience wants, because there have been a lot of posts about people hating Pat McAfee. So I don't know. I think that there could be a little meta commentary happening here.
But I also think it's because they love Gunther, right? And they see this as a step down for Gunther. And Gunther, storyline wise, needs to feel that way too.
Yeah.
And bring that intensity to the match. And I think, but that's what this all feels like. This feels like, with Pat calling him soft and bringing up his WrestleMania losses and all this kind of stuff, this feels like a reset button opportunity for Gunther, which is crazy to say as the man who just went on two incredible runs, one with the Intercontinental Championship and one with the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
But I really think that we can see a fun progression of, like you said, I think the perfect example was Brock Lesnar and John Cena and Suplex City. We need Gunther's Suplex City.
Come to Chop Town, baby.
Yeah.
Yep.
The Chop Stop.
The
Well,
Chop
that's
Stop.
that's an actual place.
That
but,
is
Chop
uh,
Shop.
Chop
yeah.
City.
The
You know, Chop Suey. Great
Welcome to
song.
the Chop Shop.
Wake up.
yeah.
You know, yeah,
Yeah.
love it all, love it all. All right, well, you know, I stand by it, Matt. I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add on it, but
No, it's same, just same across the board.
I stand by that. I'm not interested in the overall, but you know, hey, if it comes out with something cool, I'm willing to let them cook. That takes us to and I do also want to reiterate that we filmed this before Friday Night SmackDown airs,
So if they add anything,
they
yeah.
could add another match. We do want to be very clear on that. Like they could put Aleister Black in the card. They could do some. There's no women's title
I was
on the
surprised
card.
that has not been made officially.
No,
I
world
assumed it
title,
would be
excuse me.
Yeah, Tiffany and Nia, I assume would be made by now, but maybe it gets made last minute or it doesn't. I don't know.
Evidently, that doesn't seem to be what they're doing here, but there is a
Yeah.
possibility that you could get that match announced on Friday. So if that were to happen, you know, we didn't catch it. We're sorry, but again, if you're making a match the day before the pay-per-view, I'm
Yeah.
not really sure how much stock you're putting in it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
that's where
plus
we're leaving it.
last year's Backlash card only had 5 on it.
Yeah,
as
and this
well.
one's got 5
So-
too. So, and they like to sit with that 5-6 number, so it works for them. Well, that brings us to our main event because for one last time, we are going to get Randy Orton, and let me make sure I get my match graphic here. Randy Orton will be facing off against Jonathan Cena for the WWE Undisputed Championship. There's so many names for it now. This is happening. This is it. The last time, as they say, one last time, even though John Cena has been known to lie about that stuff in the past. You know, shout out to Once in a Lifetime. That happened twice. But, you know, I'm excited for this. Regardless, I'm excited for it. But what I didn't expect, fellas, everyone who's talked to me about watching WrestleMania, all my friends and coworkers and everyone all said the same thing about the main event being boring, and because of that, they stopped paying attention. And I was like, oh no, we're gonna get a really good match between John Cena and Randy Orton. He was like, oh okay, that's cool. But what happened to Cody? And I was like, oh okay. And maybe they overshot their hand with this story. I don't know. I've been like up and down on it. On the one end, I really like it, and on the other side, I'm like, I just what? I know that he's not losing, so I don't know why I should care. But I don't. Tell me I'm crazy, guys, please.
No, you're not crazy. I mean, I think
little crazy.
It's like well, yeah, we're all a little crazy. We're 3 talking
Right
heads
as rain
talking
over
about
here.
men fighting in spandex. But like, obviously, yeah, they can't repeat Mania. I think like you took a risk there. You sent a message.
Yeah.
But you can't do that for 5-6 pay-per-view main events in a row. You know what I mean? You just can't. So I think Randy Orton is going to do a good job of maybe John. We're not getting away with that. You're not going to get away with just doing it. He's going to.
Yeah.
Who can antagonize John maybe enough to get him to fight
Yep.
beyond just
Yeah.
double axe handle, slow punch here. Like Randy's a heel at the heart of it, right? Or he's a long-term heel. So maybe he antagonizes John enough to really to pick up the pace and pick up the vitriol, if you will.
Yeah.
And I think they should have a pretty good wrestling contest.
Jake?
Jake?
Give me the graphic.
Oh.
Give me the graphic.
Oh. You want which graphic? That graphic?
That was it.
Fantasy
That was
booking.
it.
He wants the fantasy booking graphic for audio listeners. Here we go.
All right. I'm about to piss off a lot of wrestling fans.
Oh man, Jake, I'm gonna solo on you.
I know that you said you were over the let's not have a bad match thing and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff.
Oh boy.
Oh no.
And this is reliving and reviving one of the best rivalries in professional wrestling. What if we recreated a special moment from that rivalry? There was a match between John Cena and Randy Orton where Randy Orton was champion. And after the bell was rang, and they were about to square up. Randy Orton slapped the shit out of the ref and got himself disqualified. Match over.
Dude, if they add another match to the card, I think they'll do that.
Holy crap, I forgot about that.
I did too, and it literally just popped in my head, and I was like, "Oh God,
They won't do that.
I can't remember what. I'll look it up, but I mean that would be,
I'm looking it up right now. That was
Laps ref
2008.
Stop John Cena for winning the title. No Way Out 2008. Yeah, No Way Out 2008.
What if Cena did it? And that was the end of the match.
Yep.
I don't want that either. I want to see these two fight. But
I think they had a match before that moment happened. They wrestled for like 15 minutes, and then when he got desperate, he said,
"Yeah, he got desperate and slapped him. He got desperate." So I think they're gonna have a match, but I do think, and here I found it on Wikipedia, that it was Cena made a surprise return, entering his 13th participant. He went on. This was like about the Royal Rumble, and then he says here,
the main event was a No Way Out. John Cena, the two battling.
Yeah. So.
I'm sorry. The sentence that caught my eye was Edge retained the title after his on-screen lover, SmackDown General Manager Vicky Guerrero, interfered.
Wild times, man.
Holy crap! By receiving an attack for Edge by Mysterio. Okay, all right, there you go. So yeah.
Anyway,
that could very well be it.
Would be kind of funny. That would.
I think it would be too. It'd be poetic justice.
It fits right into it. Why would he give Orton anything? It's just it's different, you know. It really is, but it has brought down like, okay, I just have one a thing that I have a gripe with the current state of like the WWE Championship. This is, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but this is what it feels like. And I don't know if it's been like this the whole time, but it just feels so much more obvious now. The world champion doesn't wrestle like at all, unless it's a pay-per-view. I have not seen, like, we had Jey Uso fighting, right? But that's the difference, right? It feels like the world title, the world championship, world heavyweight championship, that's like...
Well, Cody wrestled a lot.
He wrestled a lot,
but then it just stopped. Like literally, like
right
after
because WrestleMania was coming.
Yeah, but and then he just stopped. But now even with Cena, it's just promos. He's just not. And I understand with Cena, it makes sense. It's I don't know. And they also did the same thing with Orton, or not with Orton, with Punk and Roman. Like they just didn't wrestle.
They did it with Brock Lesnar.
And I don't.
It's a showcase title
like that.
It's an attraction.
Yeah, and
the person holding it is an attraction.
Right.
Yeah, and it's unfortunately had the opposite effect for me, which I was confused because I was so psyched about it. But now I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just wait till, I know something big's going to happen. I don't really need to like tune in and like, because I just watched highlights this week. I didn't like make it an appointment viewing for me because I knew that nothing was going to happen between Orton and Cena, so, well, okay, cool, we're good, right? He wasn't advertised, so I was like, okay, cool, we're good. So I don't know.
Let's also not pretend like this is just a WWE problem.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm specifically talking about this story with Cena in particular. But yeah, no, this is not an exclusive WWE problem. I mean, hell, I had that same issue. The only reason why I was tuning into AEW was to watch like what was going on with the international title and like what crazy match Will Ospreay managed to put together that week, right? So I understand that like in WWE, it's kind of the similar thing, where you got like Rey Fenix now and Penta, and you got, Braun Breaker, and you got these like really good Carmelo Hayes, like incredibly new young talent that you're going to be seeing wrestling all the time. You also have like your established hardcore, like main event talent in Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, Jacob Fatu. Like, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just this in particular just feels a little odd. That was it. It's just... it would be nice, but but for the sake of Cena, I understand he's not wrestling on Monday Night Raw.
But we kind of knew, we knew that this was going to be the case as soon as he won the title, that he was just not going to probably wrestle very much except for pay-per-views.
Yeah.
PLEs, whatever.
PLEs. But yeah, so who wins?
Cena.
John Cena.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
by disqualification. No, Randy wins by disqualification.
Yeah, Cena
John
retains
the title.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no way it's going to be a clean finish.
I could very much see that. Yeah.
There's no way it's going to be a clean finish.
No.
None whatsoever.
Nope.
All right. Man, I'm interested in some, but I will tell you what, you two made me more excited for Pat and Gunther than I was before we hit record on this episode. And I want to be very clear on that. I was like,
no, discussing it gave me more things to think about. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it did for me as well.
I still don't think it's going to be like, whoa, but like, I think it'll be an interesting
It's not going to be a 5-star match.
No,
I think we're going to come back next week and we're going to be like, that was fun. That was good.
I think we'll come back and say it was exactly what it needed.
to be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I think we'll say.
And then we just continue to sing our own praises to the void. There you have it. It's good. No, seriously. Void, Bob.
Go watch Thunderbolts.
Go watch that. There it is. There it is. And then get TNA Plus while you're at it, you sons of my guns. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for us here today. We don't have another segment but we're going to do it one last time. We're just going to say goodbye to, guys, if you don't mind, a little salute for a moment here for Jake's Retro Rippage. It was a legendary segment that brought us so much joy and happiness. It was, of course, let's see the stack of cards. How are we looking?
Stack of cards.
Wow.
Stack of cards. I have actually, I don't know if you can kind of see, I have separated these into, what I figured out is yellow is singles and red is tag teams.
Oh.
And green is managers.
Okay. Nice.
That's kind of what I figured out. Yeah, but I separated them all into like let's see. Like this is how many Ric Flair cards we got.
That's crazy. That's wild.
Yeah, and let's see.
We got to figure out what are you going to do with the cards? Have you thought about what you're going to do with the cards?
This is all Steiner Brothers. I don't have a clue what I'm going to do with these damn things. We're going to sit here and gather dust.
Party favors.
Maybe we do a giveaway. Maybe we do a little giveaway. You could,
here's what we'll do. When we get bigger and we start doing appearances and signings, we will just sign from these.
That'll be the first. Yeah. No pictures of ours. No merch of ours.
Pictures of us.
Nothing
just
else.
These WCW cards signed.
Just those.
Until we go through those, we don't sell any other merch.
All right. Well, look, guys, we need some ideas. So why don't you go and jump into our Discord, which you can find in the description down below. Join us up there. We have an area called the suggestion box where folks are already putting in some good ideas in there that we're going to try and, implement, because at the end of the day, it is just 4 of us, including our editor, Scan, who's the one handling this episode. Shout out to him. So any feedback, anything that you have, anything you want to share, please let us know. But most importantly, we want to hear from you. What do you think about the Backlash card? Are you excited for WWE Backlash this Saturday? And if you made it this long into the episode, drop some mate into the comments, okay? You know what the mate looks like. Just drop mate, and we will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you soon. Peace.